Good evening. Today we are talking about Matthew chapter 17. And First thing you will notice is I did not turn the phone sideways because while there are problems with both, I have seen. Um, and I think that's really the downside of me having to hold the phone. To where like where I'm in view is it's either you're seeing it when you see it on your screen, it kind of looks like there are dividers between, like, that I'm between, or it's full screen the other way, but during the podcast I'm looking like I'm trying to eat the phone, which I'm not, even though that would be kind of funny. Cookie. No, the phone is not a cookie. But but no. So I'm just going back to the original way, because because I know it's frustrating. I'm sure as the follower, when you're like, you see half of my face or you don't see my face at all, or I mean, it's better to see my face on the screen, even if it is a divided looking screen. So having said all that, gonna gonna get into the reading. Okay, so we're in Matthew chapter 17, and I got a different Bible, so because so like well, I mean, I got this one a couple years ago, but what I tend to do with everything that I own is I use it to the point where it wears out. So, well, the Bible, the page was ripping. There was holes in pages because I used it so much. So yeah. So now I said, okay, it's time to start using a new one. But it's still King James version. That's the only Bible I will study out of, just for personal conviction. Again, if I've talked about this subject before, I don't necessarily prescribe to the you have to read King James, but that's just the one that I study out of. Here we go. And after 6 days, Jesus took Peter, James, and John, his brother, and brings them up into a high mountain apart, and was transfigured before them, and his face did shine as the sun, and his raiment was white as the light. And behold, there appeared unto them Moses and Elias talking with him. Then answered Peter and said to Jesus, Lord, it is good for us to be here. If you will, let us make here 3 tabernacles, one for you, and one for Moses, and one for Elias. While he yet spoke, behold, a bright cloud overshadowed them. And behold, a voice out of the cloud, which said, This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Hear him. And when the disciples heard it, they fell on their faces and were very afraid. And Jesus came and touched them and said, Arise, don't be afraid. And when they had lifted up their eyes, they saw no man except Jesus. And they came down from the mountain. Jesus charged them, saying, Tell the vision to no man, until the Son of Man be risen again from the dead. And his disciples asked him, saying, Why then say the scribes that Elias must first come? And Jesus answered and said unto them, Elias truly shall first come and restore all things. But I say unto you, that Elias is come already, and they didn't know him, but have done unto him whatever they wanted. Likewise shall also the Son of Man suffer of them. Then the disciples understood that he spoke unto them of John the Baptist. And when they were come to the multitude, there came to him a certain man kneeling down to him and saying, Lord, have mercy on me, for he is a lunatic. No, back up. Lord, have mercy on my son, for he is a lunatic and sore vexed. For oftentimes he falls into the fire and oftentimes into the water. And I brought him to your disciples, and they could not cure him. Then Jesus answered and said, O faithless and perverse generation, how long shall I be with you? How long shall I suffer you? Bring him here to me. And Jesus rebuked the devil, and he departed out of him. And the child was cured from that very hour. Then came the disciples to Jesus apart and said, Why could we not cast him out? And Jesus said unto him, Because of your unbelief. For truly I say unto you, if you have faith as a grain of mustard seed, you shall say unto this mountain, Remove hence to yonder place, and it shall remove, and nothing shall be impossible for you. Howbeit this kind goes out, or doesn't go out by except by prayer and fasting. And while they abode in Galilee, Jesus said unto them, The Son of Man shall be betrayed into the hands of men, and they shall kill him, and the third day he shall be raised again. And they were very sorry. And when they were come to Capernaum, they that received tribute money came to Peter and said, Does not your master pay tribute? He said, Yeah. And when he was come into the house, Jesus prevented him, saying, What do you think, Simon? Of who do the kings of the earth take custom or tribute? Of their own children or of strangers? Peter said unto him, Of strangers. Jesus said unto him, Then are the children free. Notwithstanding, lest we should offend them, go to the sea and cast a hook, and take up the fish that first comes up, and when you have opened the mouth, you shall find a piece of money. That take and give unto them for me and you. Okay, and several observations on this. Now, the part about like when he was when the interaction between Moses, Elias, and Jesus, or the no, it was or about Moses, Elias, and Jesus. Just said Peter, James, and John. Oh yeah, the conversation with him is one of those situations where it was like they kind of didn't really know what to say to Jesus. It's like he'd just been transfigured before them, and it was one of those awkward silences, which is funny for me. I was thinking about this yesterday on the way to work about how I, as a person, have never liked silence when it comes to talking with people. I've noticed that whenever I'm hanging out with a friend, silence usually shows that they're safe enough with you that they know that whether you're talking or not, it's just it's a peaceful silence. But for me, um, I don't know whether it's condition thing or if it's or if it's just something that or if there's a reason for it. I hadn't really thought about it, but I don't like those silences. Um, I'm not comfortable with it because and so a lot of times it will get tongue tied. That always happens. It will result in me asking a weird question and or make a weird comment to break the awkward silence. And that's what they did. It's like, hey, maybe we can build a tabernacle for you, Moses and Elias, and then they hear God say. This is my beloved son, hear him out. Now, there's several reasons that are important for us to hear Christ out, which I'm going to get a drink before going into Pepsi is a drink of champions. But anyway, well, one is there's nothing that we can go through that Christ hasn't already. And so when we like for us to hear him out, we have to recognize him as the superior, and the fact is like that he's not a lord it over our head and say, if you don't do it this way, then blah 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 blah. Even though he could, Jesus is the only one that has the right to say my way or the highway. And he does when he says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man comes to the Father but by me. But when it comes to our Christian walk, he doesn't he doesn't usually do my way or the highway. He tries to instruct to help us grow. And but there are detriments to our being able to be close to Christ. One is one is pride. When someone makes a declarative, if you don't take these precautions, you will get hurt. It is wise to heed advice and not have an "I will prove him or her wrong" attitude. When we think we're above, because when we think we're above falling, we will fall every time. Even Corinthians tells us this: let every man that thinks he stand take heed lest he fall. And I mean, whenever we think we're doing good and we get in our self righteous phase, we just fell. but I mean, I've done this many a times in my life where I try to prove people wrong when they say, "Oh, don't do this or you're going to get hurt." And I look back and I wish I would have listened. But the thing is about that is we are. I mean, again, it's like we do. I mean, we deal with the theoretical versus practical all the time. Theoretically, you're saying, "Oh, if you do this, you're going to fall." Well, practically, I haven't experienced that. So till I find out that I can't, then I will listen. So it's just like I don't know why we're like that. Maybe it's the rebellious nature we all have. It's like we sometimes we just have to learn the hard way. Thank God he's patient. But yeah, then second is we get in a hurry. I mean, it's important for us to slow down. One thing I like about Isaiah 40:31. I mean, well, there's a lot of things I like about it. They that wait upon the Lord will renew their strength. They will mount up with wings as eagles. They will walk and not grow. Or they will run and not grow weary. They shall walk and not faint. Is we have a tendency as humans when it comes to God's when it comes to God's commands or even our parents. It's even funny how this works. Because it's like, hey, mom, can I go over to such and such friend's house? Yeah, after we're already saying thank you, thank you, thank you, and we don't listen to yeah, after you clean your room, and we hear what we want to hear, and then we discard the rest of the information, and we wonder why we have to face consequences later on. I got grounded several times because of that when I was a kid. It is best to slow down and listen to the full extent of what is said and not just listen to what we want to hear. And that's a that's a discipline in itself, but it's one worth learning. Um, we got to slow down and listen to full thought, like to hear the full thought is yeah, because a lot of times even too with with instructions, yeah, it's okay to do this, but you listen to the but because there's a connection, like hey, watch out for this, and then it's like, and then it's your uh your experience is going to be a lot more productive and fruitful because you take in the good with the bad. You understand that nothing that you deal with is going to be free from both. Um, and a key thing is that about priorities. Like I put a thing on that. It's like it says like you priorities. What? Is that a word? No, I just made it a word. But anyway, you prioritize God first, family second, friends third, self last. Now, people say, "Oh, pay yourself first." If I mean, love God and love others the way you should love yourself. But the thing is, too, is the thing of with following Christ is prioritizing others around you is prioritizing yourself because ideally, I mean, well, if you watch out for others, like they will watch out for you as well. That's the whole. I mean, that's really the whole setup. That's the way things were initially supposed to work. Because yeah, if we watch out for ourselves before others, then what ends up happening is out of fear of getting hurt, we just isolate. And too much isolation is not good either. But another thing is physical. The thing that keeps us from hearing God out. Well, yeah, the lack of priorities is what I mean. I should have said instead of prioritize, but physical distractions keep us from hearing God out. We look at social media. Social media is the most destructive thing that we have that's probably ever been invented. There have been a lot of good things that have come out of it, like being able to get in touch with friends you ain't talked to for years. The fact that you're watching this video is a is a productive thing if it inspires you to read and study God's word, then it's become a very productive thing. But here's the connector. Um, I don't know of one thing that that is good that from social media that does not have several bad things connected with it. The thing with more people you can get in touch with, you also can run the likelihood of more people can can badmouth you over something that you did at school or something you did at work or some or like something bad that you said. It's like when I was a kid, when I went to school, if I did something stupid, and I did do stupid stuff, um, the end of it was when I went home when I went home from school, so I didn't have to hear about it all the time because like anytime that you mess up, you don't want to continue to hear about it. You want to be able to look at it and say, "Yeah, that was not wise," and you have time to sit back and learn from it and say, "Yeah, I could have done that. I could have done better. I could have done this better. This is how I could handle it, and this is how you handle it going forward." But when social media is always in your face, always blasting you, reminding you of all the times that you the times you messed up, how um, and they can even a friend at work and let me know about people can use social media for blackmail, and it's like and so it can prioritize to so much worse than being bullied. I mean, I have heard about people like several people have committed suicide due to online bullying, and a person did that just like I heard about that just minutes before I heard about my brothers when I was at work. Like what it was what a 12-year-old had committed suicide. I think a few days before, and and it was like, and I just heard about it at work, and or maybe it was a day before, but anyway, it was just like, but hearing about that, and so yeah, online bullying can be it's a lot more relentless. Um, your and you got many friends, like many online friends, like if you look at your Facebook profile, okay, a lot of times people will friend request people that they knew, that they grew up with, and but not really taking into consideration that you are valuing them for who y'all used to be and not who you are now. And most of the people that are on your friend list may value you for who you used to be, the memories you had. But as you grow, they're not gonna appreciate you for who you are now, and that's really a downside. So when you need someone to help you in your time of need, it's harder to find. So yeah, those are just on the the pluses that I've said, and the cons. But there are way more. You can, if you guys wanted to. I'm sure you guys as a family activity could sit down and figure out all the pros of social media and even the cons, like as a result of that. It would probably be pretty fun, and it would probably be pretty eye-opening if you wanted to do that. If you don't, I'm not holding it against you. That would just be a maybe, maybe a fun activity, maybe it won't, I don't know, but anyway. um cell phones are a huge distraction. um I remember I had I had a landline for most of my adult life. Only in the last 4 years, when I moved down to Oklahoma, did I finally get a cell phone. And I had several people mention to me, "Why don't you go ahead and get a cell phone? You probably like it." You're like, my biggest fear about it, which actually has happened twice, is it fell out of my pocket, and I had to get a new one. And the thing about that is, because you've got internet, you've got your you can watch TV on it. You've got your social media is tied with internet, but everything is like, the whole world is in the palm of your hand. And so if you lose your phone, you go into the dark ages like that. And so yeah, it's a um, I had a person mention when I at the last church I went to, that you take a kid's cell phone away, they become very hateful. They become very mean about it. And I mean, and it's like, and so it's just one of those things. It's become so much of a distraction. It does distract from our relationship with Christ and hearing Him out. Because when our minds are occupied on other things, it's not focusing on God. Sports. No, I'm definitely guilty of this one. Huge. Well, I mean, I'm guilty of all. No, I mean, of all of these. But anyway, but but yeah, sports I've noticed, and I've had to correct myself as far as the thinking on many occasions, because when pastors cut off their church service, because a football game is starting, starting in a few minutes, and like they want to and the people want to go home and watch football. It's like, yeah, I need a touch from God, but I want to go watch my team play in a few minutes. It's like, okay, what's more important? I mean, the football game you can catch up on. Your relationship with God, you really can't. It's like I mean, it's well. The reason I say you really can't is because it's time. I mean, it's time that you lose, and each decision you make to not build on that is opportunities you don't get back, and you have to work harder to get back to that place again. And so it's just one of those, gain the whole world, lose your soul mentality. So yeah, it's like learning to prioritize God is a very important thing. Our busyness, now we get so caught up in, and people involved in ministry see this all the time. We get caught up in the, well, I'm not doing enough. I could do so much more. Yeah, you could, but I mean, I fell into that trap where I didn't hold boundaries for myself, and and then it resulted in me being like spread too thin, and rather than take a full look at it and see, and objectively, and see the reason that I'm spread too thin is because I'm putting more on myself than I should. Um, I mean, it takes time with that, because usually we try to say, okay, I'm gonna I'm gonna hold out a little bit longer. I'm gonna see if it gets better, and then we get pulled in way too deep, and that's not good. Um, Relationships can keep us from hearing God out, which is why it's very important to watch who you hang out with. People who are the right people to hang out with are those people that are going to encourage you to build your relationship with Christ, to prioritize that, because like what Matthew 6:33 talks about. It says, "Seek ye first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all else shall be added unto you." So when you take your time and you prioritize your relationship with Christ, it makes your relationships with others more fruitful. And so it can't be any other way. If you're trying to prioritize others and expecting your relationship with God to be more fruitful, not going to happen, because God has to be the center for it to work. God has to be the light socket that the power source is hooked up to for it to work. And then you got television and radio. Television is another one that's very destructive, because as I've grown older, I've discovered more and more that television is a lot more negative than it used to be. Um, Ever since like the year 2000s has hit, everything that you see on the news is negative. And then you wonder why so many people have such a negative outlook on life. Is it You're filling your brain more with the negativity from television, as opposed to the truth of God's word. And hearing God, like hearing God's truth, is when He tells you the truth about what's going on. It puts things in perspective to where you're able to see it more in a positive light. Radio, now radio is destructive too. I mean, if you listen to, well, and I think if you're not careful, it could be the most destructive, like probably even more so than social media, because where you can get away from social media, you, I don't know of one person that does not like music. And there's not one person in this world that has not been influenced by music. And so today's day and age, today's artists, the things that they sing about. And I did a post with my best friend talking about this about a year ago. The effects of like music on our lives, or the way the music industry impacts lives, and with the subliminal messages, the and just the just and other things, just the fact that even subliminal messages, what used to be hidden is now out in plain sight because there's no accountability, and so that could cause serious damage to relationship with God and others. You're not going to hear him out if you're hearing all this stuff that's bashing God. I mean, if you think a person is evil, you ain't going to spend time with them. You're not going to want to spend time pursuing that relationship. So, so yeah, it's so all these things have absolutely had a huge impact in why we don't hear God out. But yeah, don't let your physical blessings have you. You got to prioritize, like, well, the way the physical blessings have you is you prioritize your blessings over God. You prioritize the created over the creator. And so that's a tough that's a tough line to walk. But yeah, and then what, preconceived notions or opinions of others. We can get we can get the Bible to say anything that we want it to say. We A lot of people use the Bible to justify their actions when the context of the Bible teaches us, love God and love others is the greatest commandments. If you love God and love others, you fulfilled the law. It's better to trust in the Lord than to put confidence in man. You put trust in God over man, you're going to be great, more greatly blessed. The whole context of the Bible does not teach living how you want to live. Um, what was it? Yeah, Judges 21:25 says that everybody that there was no king in Israel, and everybody did what was right in their own eyes. Um, Not that they necessarily needed a king, but when you allow the truth of God's word to govern your thoughts and how you treat others, it's it's a whole lot. It's a whole lot. Yeah, it brings greater blessings. So really, the whole idea is the Bible rightly taught will change you. We don't change the Bible to condone our lifestyle. And so we let the Bible interpret the Bible, and we change to its standards rather than conforming to it to our comfort. Now, things that help in our relationship with God and others. Just a second, my mouth is getting dry. I'm gonna get a drink. Okay, things that help with our relationship with God and others. The first one is not always having to be right. And now this one was the best lesson I think I've probably learned. Um, is like and I've continually had to practice, so it's one of those things that is a blessing, because when you're arguing and you have to be right, you're more likely to insult people. You're more likely to to invalidate what they believe because what they believe is different than yours. The whole idea of any kind of argument or debate is you validate the person, validate what they believe of the best you can, even if there's there's things that are not right. You can point out the things that says, yeah, you're right on this, but and and then that way you build up on what they have that is good, and tear down what is not. But they have to be the one that tears it down because because I mean you can point it out, but you cannot make them tear that down in their thought process. That's a whole thing with quick to hear and slow to speak. You listen to understand versus listening to respond. Now, when you listen to respond, it's you find out that what I mean like you won't well, actually if you listen to respond you won't find out what they that their full thought because they might answer your question that you have in your head if you take the time to hear them out hear them all the way through. So when you listen to understand it it allows for that. And then you many times people don't need their problems solved, but someone to hear them out. And this is something that I'm still trying to walk out. And it, like, because without thinking, as a man, I know men tend to have this issue as well. Most men, whenever they hear, someone voicing their problems, they initially want they instinctively want to try to solve it. Sometimes it's not good, even if you tell them this is what I would do in your situation, they may not hear you because they didn't want to hear. They didn't want advice. They just wanted you to hear them out. And they're glad that you heard them, but they're going to do what they're going to do anyway. Then what? Yeah, alone time with it's important to have alone time with God because alone time with God prioritizes what is important in our lives, and alone time with God gives us direction for our lives. Because we all have we all it gets back to the busyness. If we don't take time to intentionally sit at Jesus's feet and allow him to coach us. I mean, which is coach Jesus thing. Even though we a lot of us really don't look at Christ as that, but if we don't take the time to sit at Jesus's feet and allow him to direct us the way he needs us directed, we run around like chickens with our heads cut off and not feel like we accomplish anything. So it's just a matter of slowing down and again hearing him out. You've got to stop and hear him out in order for him to do that. And another thing about prayer is we all can pray for anyone anywhere. Where there's a need, there's an opportunity to trust God to meet that need. Now, that's a cool thing about that is when you're hearing God out, when even in your day to day walk, you're he even directs your steps. Like, okay, if you think you're going to be sleeping till whatever time, you wake up earlier and then you go for a walk, and then you get a chance to talk to somebody that you end up finding out, okay, this person needs prayer, so you take the time to pray for them, and that can help a lot of times does help their need, help their day, and allows God to meet their needs. The last part is give God what's His. Now, when it talks about at the end, as far as the paying tithe, not I mean, well, paying tithe is important, but paying tribute is we're going to go into that. Luke chapter 20, verses 20 to 26. Okay, here we go. And they watched him and sent forth spies, which should feign themselves just men, that they might take hold of his words, so that they might deliver him unto the power and authority of the governor. And they asked him, saying, Master, we know that you say and teach rightly, neither accepts the persons of any, but teach the way of God truly. Is it lawful for us to give tribute unto Caesar or not? But he perceived their craftiness and said unto them, Why do you tempt me? Show me a penny. Whose image and superscription does it have? They answered and said, Caesar's. And he said unto them, Render therefore unto Caesar the things which are Caesar's, and unto God the things that are God's. And they could not take hold of his words before the people, and they marveled at his answer, and held their peace. Now, the thing about that is this. Excuse me. Everything is God's, but those who question, he tells us to be wise as serpents and harmless as doves. Pay your taxes and pay your tribute and tithe, not because we question everything is God's, but so the ones who are supporters of the law don't turn you in. Now, tithe, you're not going to get turned in for not paying it. Tithe is something that it is a blessing to do. I mean, paying taxes, if you don't do it and you get caught, yeah, there are serious penalties as a result. But so yeah, it's just a matter of, I mean, your heart is when you do what's right in the eyes of God, even when it's something that you don't agree with, why you should have to do this, God will honor your obedience. Now there are things, it's like if someone tells you to go murder somebody because they don't like them or whatever, that's where the line is drawn. If what you're told to do is contrary to what the Bible teaches, then that's where you listen to God. But when it comes to things that aren't necessarily right or wrong, um, you do it just because you don't want to face the worldly consequences for not doing it. But that is it from here. Um, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think I could have done better. What I like any recommendations or anything you that I could have added that didn't. Let me know in the comments. You guys be blessed. Have a good week and a Merry Christmas. And I will talk to you next weekend.